Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ and Friends. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and my friend today is Abi Cowell. And she is part of the Vegan Health Bundle 2025, and she has a fabulous product in it, which she'll tell you all about. And today she's going to be making America's favorite dip, chili con queso. Hey Abby, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today, AJ?
I am good. So you got a batch cooking course.
I do a ton of batch cooking for my family, and I honestly feel like it's the easiest way in order to make plant-based cooking fast and simple, especially when you're cooking for a family. So
Absolutely. And so tell us a little bit about the course and also about what else you like about this year's bundle.
yeah, so I have an entire book about batch cooking. It has the recipes and everything, as well as tips and additional ideas for batch cooking, sort of components and ways that you can make lots of different meals using similar batched components. Um, but it also has a 25-minute exclusive video. So it walks you through this entire process of making four different meals using one big pot of rice and some steamed potatoes. So that's a batch cook that I make all the time for my family, and I wanted to share that with everyone else. I really loved three different books in the bundle. So one, I was super excited to see your book about cooking delicious and easy meals from Walmart. I think that's great because everybody's got a Walmart in their town, even in small town Texas. There's a Walmart. Um, there was also a coloring book, which I thought was really cool by Alana Jordan, I think.
Yes.
Natural Mint.
Yeah.
Yeah, Natural Minta. She is a naturopath, and I thought that the coloring book was really cool. It's really beautiful, and I plan to print out some of the pages and like color, for relaxation time.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
also,
Yeah, something
yeah,
different.
exactly. And of course, there's tons of amazing recipe books. And there's even a book about affirmations for eating healthy, which is great because sometimes, we're faced with so many of the opposite messaging, in the world. It's nice to have those, healthy affirmations. So yeah, it was really great. There's a lot of great stuff in there.
Well, thank you, and thanks for being part of it. So, how do you make chili con queso without cheese?
So, as you may know or remember, I am from Houston, Texas, born and raised. So, growing up, we would make chili con queso using Velveeta and Rotel, and we all know how incredibly processed that is. Not to mention full of animal products. So, let's make it with potatoes, carrots, onions. So these whole foods, these vegetables that if you haven't been in the plant-based world sounds kind of crazy, but if you've been in the plant-based world more than a minute, you know that cheese sauce is incredible using potatoes. So we're going to make that today, and I've already prepped some of it, but I'm going to switch my camera over to my table so that we can look at the ingredients and do it together. So all right. Can you still hear me?
I sure can.
Yay. Okay, it works. Fantastic. So these are the ingredients that we use to make vegan chili con queso. There's lots of different varieties, but this is the one we're going to make today. And it starts with cubed potatoes. I also have some onion in here, some whole garlic cloves. And underneath here, you're going to see some carrots. They're hiding at the bottom. You can sort of see that little bit of orange. So they're cut kind of chunky, irregular. They don't have to be precise. We just kind of want them to cook at the same rate. The carrots are a little harder than the potatoes, so they can be a little bit smaller. But we basically take this to the stove, boil this until all of the vegetables are tender. And in the book, I share that you can add a little bit of raw cashew to the mixture to give it a little bit of extra richness. Cashews are amazing in sauces like this. But if you're trying to reduce the calories of this, can't have nuts for some reason, or trying to lower the fat content, then you can leave those out and it's still delicious. So I'm going to move this over here because I have already prepped this. And this is what it looks like when you've already cooked it. So you can see everything is sort of breaking down. It's tender. I threw the cashews in here too so that they would soften for the blender. So once we have that, we are going to add everything to my Blendtec blender here. Depending on how big of a batch you make, you may have to do this in a couple different batches in the blender. I like to use this spider or a slotted spoon to take it out because I actually use the broth to make potato soup or a vegetable soup. I don't throw it out because it has all of the delicious flavors from the onion and the garlic and the carrot and the potato, and it has a little bit of richness from the cashew. So I'm going to stick with this and we'll do another batch with that. Let me move this back over here.
How do you like to cook your potatoes and carrots?
For this recipe, you're asking?
Yeah, or for any recipe. Yeah. Do you like to use an Instant Pot? Just boil it on the stove?
So I normally just boil it on the stove. You can totally do it in the Instant Pot too, but you'll want to drain away a lot of that liquid or reserve it because you don't need all of it. But yeah, I normally just pop it on the stove. So now we have our ingredients here. And what we're going to add to the blender to turn this into cheese sauce first is some nutritional yeast. So I have it in this container. And this full recipe is in my book in the bundle. So we have nutritional yeast. We have a little bit of ground turmeric. This is for color. And of course, turmeric is amazing for anti-inflammatory, for reducing our cancer risk, and just wonderful things. It's incredibly anti-inflammatory. So we try to add it to as many recipes as we can. Sea salt. You could use miso paste here instead if you're salt-free. And then we're going to add in some lemon juice. You could use fresh or bottled. And then here are a couple brands of smoked paprika. Let me turn these around. Is that better?
Ooh,
there we go.
Those look neat.
Yeah, these are from Spain. My sister brought them for me. She lives in Ireland. So she can usually find these easier than I can. We brought back a lot when we came back from Spain several years ago, but then we ran out of it. So you know how it is whenever you use it a lot. So we're going to put some smoked paprika in here. And now we're going to add in some almond milk.
That looks easy.
Super easy. Super easy. And then we're just going to blend it up. I'm going to mute myself when I blend it because it's so loud. Okay. All right. I'm back. Can you hear me?
You betcha.
Okay. Fantastic. I almost had to put that little plastic thing back on. I was afraid it might start coming out, but it didn't. So
Oh
now
my
you can
God. Do you
see.
know that I've actually blended that little plastic thing in a blender in front of the president of Vitamix at a presentation?
Are you serious?
Yeah, well, I mean, they need to make it so it's not so small and it can't, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Actually, I have lost my little one. I have this other blender jar. It's a smaller size for making like thicker things, and I've totally lost it. I'm gonna have to buy a new little plastic thing for that one. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. You had to throw out that whole recipe, didn't you?
absolutely. But it was kind of fun.
Oh,
It made the audience,
oh man.
you know?
Yeah, of course.
That's really all that matters.
Yeah. All right. So we've got here, I'm going to grab a bowl. All right. So you can see after blending our cheese sauce, it's smooth and it's super creamy. You could blend it again if you're finding that it's like chunky or, the cashews haven't blended all of the way. But then what I would do with this, if I'm going to use this queso right now, I could put it into a pot on the stove and add my additional ingredients to turn it into queso. Or if you're going to save it and keep it during the week, you would put it into a container and then just heat it up as you need it. So for right now, I'm just going to put it into this bowl.
It's so pretty. It does look like Velveeta.
Right? It really does. Okay, so now we have cheese sauce. So this cheese sauce could be used to make macaroni and cheese. You could drizzle it over potatoes. You could make cheesy broccoli rice. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? So you have this base. Now, if we want to turn it into queso, we have a couple different options. And I offer all these options in the actual recipe card in my book. But the simplest way to do this would be to use Rotel. This is the Aldi version of Rotel. And Rotel is basically just diced tomatoes with green chilies. It has the ingredients here. We have diced tomatoes, water, chopped green jalapeno chili peppers, sea salt, vinegar, cilantro. So that's what's in here. The other option would be to use a salsa, like a red salsa, and you can mix that in. Um, or you can add in something like this. This is by Siete, and it's a chorizo seasoning. And if you've ever had chorizo, the flavor comes from all of the spices that are included in there. So this is an oil-free spice blend, and it's got really great ingredients: apple cider vinegar powder, chili powder, sea salt, paprika, garlic powder, beet powder, cassava flour for thickening, black pepper, cumin, coriander, and oregano. So you could mix this into any kind of base, whether you want it in a sauce, or you could put it with potatoes, jackfruit, mushrooms, soy curls, and have that chorizo flavor. So you could add this to your chili con queso. We could add in some cilantro. You could add in some jalapenos, some sauteed onions. But the simplest way, again, is just adding in salsa or rotel. So we're going to do our rotel,
Yeah,
and I've just popped off. Mm-hmm.
we have Rotel at our Walmart, and they even have the salt-free version too.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and you
that's
can get it on
fantastic.
Amazon. It's like $1 a can.
Yeah, it's super cheap. At Aldi, I think it's less than that even.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so we stock up on it there. It can be a little spicy, so if you are, sensitive to spice, you may want to go with like a mild salsa instead. But but I like it. And we're going to use all of the liquid that's in here as well. So we don't want to drain it. We're just going to add all of this into our cheese sauce because the liquid has an incredible amount of flavor. So we're just going to add it in. And we're going to stir it up and grab a spoon. So, an interesting fact about this cheese sauce, as well as the queso, either one, is they're freezable. So, I'll normally make a big batch of it. I'll keep some in the fridge for the week, and we'll use it on burrito bowls, to make nachos, as a dip, or on potatoes. But then I'll freeze a jar and pop it out, maybe in a month or so when I don't really have the energy to make queso again, but I would like some for that week. Now, when you pull it out and you thaw it, and you go to heat it back up in the microwave or on the stove, it's going to look like it's ruined. It's going to get separated and like really weird looking, and it's going to look like it's completely ruined. But if you just keep warming it on the stove, keep stirring it in the microwave, after heating it at 30 seconds at a time, as it gets hotter and hotter, it will return to this silky smooth consistency. So after you've frozen it, don't throw it out. When you're heating it back up and it looks funny, just keep stirring, keep heating, and eventually you'll get right back to this amazing silky texture. So make sure that you're aware of that. I'm going to add this cilantro in. You can, of course, leave it out if you don't like cilantro, if it tastes like soap to you, but we love it. So there you have it. You have queso. So obviously you'd want to eat this hot. We're not going to heat it up right now, but this is a giant bowl of queso, and it's so cheap to make. You saw the ingredients that we put in there. I went to Whole Foods yesterday, and I found some quesos that they have. So these are actually oil-free quesos, which I was super excited to find, but they're $7 each. And it's a little tiny jar. It's like 11 ounces.
That's crazy how expensive it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's great to have this convenience food item, especially if you can't cook, if you're traveling, if something's going on and you just need something to take to a party or whatever. But I mean, you can make like a vat of this for that price. So, if you have the time, the energy, you have the equipment like a high-speed blender or at least a food processor, um, definitely make it yourself and just pop some in the freezer for another day. Let's go ahead and taste it. I wanted to open up these chips.
Oh yeah, the tatanada, you can get those in Texas. Here we have to order them. Well, actually, we can get them at Target, you know?
Okay. You can get them at Target like online.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. Though they don't have them actually in the store, but those are so good. Kim Davis told me about them.
They're amazing. So let me open this up and show you what
Do
they
you
look like.
know
They
her?
have
Do you know her? She's in the bundle and she's from Texas.
no
Oh,
Kim Davis.
I hope I'm getting her name right. I'm so tired. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's her name. Boy, that'd be funny if it isn't, huh?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll have to look
yeah,
her up. I'll have to look her up
Kim.
for sure.
Not sure what part of Texas, but she's definitely from what part of Texas? You're in San Antonio, right?
Just south of there, I'm in Houston.
Houston. Oh, do you know Dr. Baxter Montgomery?
I know of him, but I've never had the pleasure of meeting him.
Well, I hope you never need a cardiologist, but if you do, he's amazing.
He's
Okay.
our man. All right, cool.
Oh, Kim Murphy.
Um,
Kim Murphy. Sorry. Kim Davis.
okay, I will definitely look her up. Yeah, that'd be fantastic
Hopefully
to get to know her.
Hopefully Kim is not watching knowing that I botched her last name.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be fine. So these are what the blue corn tatsumata chips look like. And they're kind of thick, but they're not as tough as you would think that they would be being so thick. What's so cool about these, they do have a little bit of salt on them, but they're not super salty. What's cool about these is they make these straight from like the masa. So they're not taking, prepared corn tortillas like these, right? That I always have in the fridge. They're not taking those and making chips, which is what normally happens. Or if you want to make them at home, that's what I would do. I would take these tortillas and cut them up and air fry them or bake them. They're actually taking the masa and forming it and making these chips by baking them. So you have a lot more flavor, and they're not as tough because they haven't been dried out twice. They've only been dried out the one time. So they're really delicious. They're smaller than normal tortilla chip, so you can eat the whole chip without, cutting the corners of your mouth. Can you hear that crunch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're great. They're fantastic. And here in Texas, we can find them at Whole Foods and at Central Market, which is like a fancy HEB here. So those are a great option for chips. I mentioned you can make your own by baking corn tortillas. We also have these. So these are tostadas by Mission, and they are baked They're not fried.
Oh my gosh, what store? You have so many more oil-free options. You just get that at the regular store?
Yeah, we can get this at HEB, at Walmart, at Fiesta, which is a Hispanic foods grocery store here. Most stores carry these, at least one brand of them. Yeah,
They're
it's pretty
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. So these are fantastic because they're actually tostadas. So they're big and round, so you can eat them as a tostada, or you can just break up the pieces and eat them as chips. The other option that we have for oil-free, like tortilla chips, are these. Have you tried these before, AJ?
Yes, they're also fabulous.
They're delicious. They're really good. And they're a different shape. So these are long and rectangular, and they come in these little packages. So instead of a big bag that you have to carry around, they're in these little packages. So I think there's three little corn cakes, corn crackers in here. And so they're fantastic to take on the go because you can just, slip them into your purse, into your bag if you're traveling. If you're going to be out all day and you want something to dip, guacamole or something else in. So these are a really good option. I find these at Aldi usually for about $3 a box. So those are another option for chips. And then, if it's okay, I would love to also show a few other ingredients if we have time, AJ. I don't know.
Absolutely,
Um,
please. And those little chips you showed, they actually serve them at Rancho La Puerta, where I teach in Mexico. I love them.
oh, fantastic. Yeah, they're really tasty. I took them when I went to Ireland last year, in my bag with me so that I would have something to eat in the airport. Um, okay, so I just wanted to show a couple other ingredients and seasonings that I always keep on hand to make Tex-Mex food like chili con queso, like enchiladas and tacos and burritos and all kinds of delicious things. I always have these ingredients in my house. In addition to what we've already talked about, I will keep, of course, ground cumin. I buy it in this giant container because I use it so much. Um, I'm sure everyone has granulated or powdered garlic and onion in their pantry, in their spice cabinet. Those are really essential for making Tex Mex food. This has salt in it, but it is an adobo seasoning. And it's basically cumin, salt, garlic, cumin, black pepper, oregano, and turmeric. But it's a very fine powder, as you can see. And it just gives a nice, unique, distinct flavor to dishes. We might use this just to add a little bit more salt to a dish that we're cooking or to our bowl. And it's more than just salts. It's got those other flavors in it. So my husband especially loves this.
Ooh. Hey,
This is
I'm sorry, there's a live viewer named Gail saying, do you have any substitute for nutritional yeast, like maybe sunflower seeds? That's a tough one because it's such a unique
mm,
flavor.
it really is. I mean, if you want something to taste cheesy, nutritional yeast is the best option. But obviously, you can go with something that is slightly fermented, like miso paste. Some of those other ingredients that give that umami flavor, plus saltiness, plus a creaminess. And if you combine those three, you're going to get closer to that cheesy flavor. But the nutritional yeast really does make a big difference.
Oh,
But I have made queso without nutritional yeast, and we still enjoy it. We just add a little bit more of the other flavors, like maybe the smoked paprika. We may add a little bit more lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. We may add miso paste, um, just to kind of give it more depth of flavor if we're going to leave the nutritional yeast out. But that's a hard one to substitute for sure.
yeah, it's a very unique flavor, unlike nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that a lot.
yeah. This is one of the other seasonings that I buy. This is specific to HEB, which is a chain of grocery stores here in Texas. And I believe they have other stores throughout the South. But it's a borracho bean seasoning. So I'll add this when I make pinto beans in the Instant Pot. It's really delicious. And then Kinder's makes a fajita blend. of seasoning that we really love to put on fajita, peppers and onions or soy curls, anything that we want to have like that citrusy fajita punch. It has a lot of different ingredients in it that are not always in like taco seasoning. For example, it has lemon peel, and they've added cilantro, lemon juice, lime juice. So I find that this one is really nice, especially if I'm doing um, peppers and onions in the pan. And then this is one of my favorite taco seasonings. It's by Mateo's. They make a really delicious a line of salsas. One of those salsas we can get at Costco, but this taco seasoning is really delicious. Fantastic. And then as far as hot sauces, our favorites in this house are Cholula and Chipotle Tabasco. And then, of course, um, we have canned green chilies, limes, either bottled or fresh. Fresh are always so much more flavorful, but if you don't have it, I always keep some lime juice on hand. Cilantro for just about everything. And then instead of the cashews, for a creamy sauce like a sour cream or a crema, like I make a cilantro lime jalapeno crema. And if you don't want to go full cashews, using the extra firm silken tofu by Morinu makes a really nice sauce, nice cream that you can add to your tacos or burritos or anything. So I always have this since it's shelf stable. It's always in the pantry. So I think that's all the ingredients I wanted to share here.
Well, thank
Um,
you. It looks
yeah.
delicious. Yeah, that's so cool that you can freeze it. I know Tammy Kramer said she freezes hers, and I just now have heard it from more than one person. And somebody's pointing out, I was thinking of Garth Davis in Houston. He's a plant-based doctor. That's probably why I called Kim Murphy Kim Davis. I think Kim Davis is
Ah,
an actress. Yeah.
okay.
Nice.
Fantastic. I'm gonna definitely have to look her up. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much
Oh,
for
you're
letting me
welcome.
come on the show, AJ.
Oh, a cool cat who's watching live on YouTube says that lactic acid helps for the cheesy taste. I've never used that, but I know that Kathy Hester in her pizza book, that looks like a very good course, by the way, that's in the bundle, uses lactic acid in some of her cheese recipes.
I'm gonna have to try that. Where did she say where to get it in her book? I'll have to look.
I know you can get it on Amazon. So she lives in North Carolina, but she actually sent me some as a present a long time ago, and I haven't used it, but I am going to try. Supposedly, it gives it a cheesy flavor, especially when you're doing lower fat cheeses, you know?
Hey, I'm gonna have to try that out. I think Amy Dean, Broccoli Mom, she owned a vegan cheese company for a long time, and she uses lactic acid in some of her recipes as well. She also has a book in the bundle, all about weight loss recipes, and I've checked that out, and it looks really good too.
Yeah,
Some of
her
her
husband.
smoothies and things. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, her recipes are so good. She always does clever things like making chickpeas for dessert. I just want to say there's somebody watching that says they're from Yuba City near me, and I hope you'll join my local meetup group because we get together every month, daily occasions. So if you aren't familiar with Healthy Living in Lincoln on Meetup, please join because then we can meet in person. So I've been posting your link to the bundle if people would like to get the bundle for you so they get credit. I've been posting it on Instagram and in the chat, and it's also in the show notes. And thank you so much for being in the bundle. And I love your product, and best of luck to you.
Thanks so much, AJ. Best of luck
Oh,
to you too.
thank you, Abby, and thanks all of you for watching Chef AJ and Friends. Come back tomorrow